Yes. Haha. Yes. It's Balloon Party, the award-winning Friday edition, presented by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota. Timothy Michael McKernan, Action Jackson. And Jackson is wearing what I would describe as a cute little cowboy hat today, if you're watching on YouTube.
Howdy, partners.
What is... and I just switched over to the YouTube to see it, and I noticed that the right side of your head, the headphone is flush against it, but then the cowboy hat is causing chaos, and so the left side of the headphone is kind of airborne.
It's an homage to the man standing across from me.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
That's a tribute.
It's lopsided, yeah.
No, I caught it. You didn't have to explain it. Once you explained it, you ruined it. But I still appreciated it. Jackson, what a show we have, because the Angry Beavers Friday Six-Shooter is on the menu today, and that Six-Shooter is, I think, the reason why the Angry Beavers said, give us Piddles or give us death.
Yeah, it's the number one. It's the number one item. You know how a restaurant will have, like, on their board, like a sandwich board, number one seller? Mm-hmm. This is the thing that puts asses in the seats.
I agree with that.
Now, what keeps them in the building are things like the Half and Half Sports Business Newsletter, Weekend Wrap-Up. But what puts asses in the seats is the Lil Piddles Friday Six-Shooter, all presented to you by Angry Beaver.
There it is. So that's coming your way here. And Jackson would like to announce that he is taking on another responsibility. Jackson, what would you like to tell? What would you like to tell the people?
I mean, I'm just like, I'm a bull, a young bull. Well, that's the thing, is like an aspiring bull. Not really like committed to it per se, but everyone needs that golden parachute. And I think mine could be being a bull.
Your thoughts on that, 314-399-9646. It's the Air Comfort Service text line, or you can just comment on it in the YouTube chat like Leo. Hi, Jake. Thank you. The people are chatting with me. Leo, is it Leo McGinn? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, Leo McGinn.
He says, is Piddles doing Barbie cosplay?
Yes. This is my my
they
nod.
wear a cowboy hat like that in Barbie? You have seen it, and you thought it was good. You thought it was better than Oppenheimer.
No, I did not, but I did thoroughly enjoy it.
So you gave it good on goodorbad.com.
Yes, I gave it good. And yes, Ryan Gosling, who plays Ken, at one point when they enter the real world, he's wearing like a jean jacket with the phrase.
Mm-hmm, of course.
Yeah, and then also a cowboy hat. And it's a look that I'm going to be pulling off come October 31st after the Tigers are 6 or 7-0.
Well, I think they might be 8-0 then. They're 7-0 after they beat Brian Kelly. They're 8-0 after they beat Kentucky. They're 9-0 after they beat Beamer Ball. And when did they go between the hedges? Is that November?
Yes.
I mean, November brings you the Bulldogs, the Volunteers, and the Gators.
And the Razorbacks.
And then it's off to Fayetteville, as I was taught to say when I worked in Little Rock Television. Brag. Fayetteville, Knoxville, Louisville.
I don't say it like that.
Well,
I say
you're a Yankee.
Louisville, Fayetteville, and then I might go Gainesville. I think that's pretty funny.
Don Hoffman is your favorite listener, is he not?
It's been so long since we've heard from Don.
Don says, wow, the Cardinals tanking has really changed sports talk radio. For the better, I might add. That's from Don Hoffman. He likes to tune in, and when the Cardinals are doing nothing, when the Blues aren't playing, when we're still 4 weeks away from Missouri, South Dakota.
The beauty in this town.
We got a guy wearing a cowboy hat offering up that he's going to become a sex worker. Things happen quick. Where have you gone, Bob Burns and Bob Bragg?
Just to, CYA. No sex work for I. Not for me.
Jackson's baiting and switching with the audience here this morning. 314-399-9646, or just hop in the YouTube chat. And it's a hot chat right now, especially with Don Hoffman and Teddy Tucker's treasures. He says, I think all the cute guys are going to keep Piddles busy for a long time. So it sounds like there's already a line forming for your new responsibility. People are walking by the studio looking at you wearing that hat, kind of wondering.
It's their first time with Sports Talk Radio. Welcome to
prop comedy, the Carrot Top.
Yeah. Welcome to lame duck Cardinal season and no Blues. There's going to be a lot more cowboy hat wearing around here.
But fight Tiger, fight for old Mizzou. That's what Jackson says.
I'm so excited for the college football
Jackson's
season.
going out to Las Vegas, Circa Sportsbook, big sponsor on TMA and now here on 101 ESPN as well. And he's going out there with KG and O-Town from TMA in 2 weeks, and he's going to be carrying a brick of my cash. And I am obviously described by most wealth observers as liquid. And so you are going to be carrying a brick of cash, and that brick of cash has been instructed to be placed on the over of 6.5 wins for your Fighting Tigers. Fight. Tiger. Beat. Coyote.
Is that the name of South Dakota?
It's either that or Jackrabbits.
I think South Dakota State's Jackrabbits, South Dakota's the Coyotes. So yeah, we'll take on the Coyotes.
Fun. A lot of syllables in those nicknames. That's fun.
We're gonna cover that play early, and then we double down on them winning
the national championship.
I was gonna say the SEC, but why not?
Right.
Let's go all
Both
around.
Are likely.
Very likely.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. There's a guy wearing a cowboy hat who has now announced he is a bull for hire. It's time for the Six-Shooter.
Woo!
Brought to you by Angry Beaver. That's right. Presenting sponsor Munganast. Presenting sponsor of the Six-Shooter, the Angry Beaver. Who's next?
I feel like my question right here can get you going.
Oh, wow. You think this might carry the whole show?
No.
Does Mason Wynn get called up?
No, I can give you an answer on that. No, I just feel like it's a very big picture Cardinal question, and those sometimes can be short, and then sometimes can be long.
All right, let's see what we got.
We've talked about the vicious cycle of the St. Louis baseball Cardinals and their ability to spin a bad offseason or a bad deadline by saying, we'll get them next time. The offseason is different because in the past they've been able to protect their PR nonsense with a playoff berth or a winning season.
Kind of coming loaded for bear today.
You put the cowboy hat on, you don't come to mess around.
I agree with that.
Fans seem to be getting wise, and all their concerns this season came true and more. Do you think we will see a big statement after the postseason saying we're going to make big plays this offseason, or do you think Mo and the front office learned their lesson and will just keep their nose to the grindstone?
I just don't understand the point of saying something that is a promise that if you don't know you can deliver, you can alienate a portion of your customers. And that would go for any business, in this case, the customers or the season ticket holders. So I loved hearing what he said last year with the increase on payroll. And I believe it was fresh in his mind because he had just gone out to meet with Nolan Arenado and make the case for him not opting out. That's what my theory is. I don't know that. At winter warm-up, he said, well, did payroll increase? Well, that's in the eye of the beholder. It did go up, so I say it increased, but you might not think it increased enough, but it did increase. So it became a game of semantics, which I think alienates people and causes a chasm in trust between the organization and the fan base. So with that said, I don't know why you would say we're going to have a huge offseason unless they're seeing a decrease in season ticket renewals. That's the only thing that I can think. And by the way, which kind of ties into what you asked there, Jackson, Ben Frederickson of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch wrote a column this morning regarding the Cardinals in the offseason and committing to, really fixing this pitching problem. And I agree with one of the things that he talked about in that column, and that is just kind of handing Steven Matz a spot in the rotation. Like, okay, well, you got two. Not necessarily. The guy you're counting as the 50% of the guys under contract for the rotation next year was in the bullpen 6 weeks ago because he was so bad. So that's why I say this is not just like, okay, let's knock in this 2-foot putt and get back into contention. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of dollars. My expectation is Steven Matz will be in the rotation. I don't really think that's bold. My expectation is they trade for a pitcher under control. John Denton gave us the name Tyler Glass now. He's going to make $25 million. He's under contract for another year in Tampa, for the record. He has had plenty of injury problems. He's a proud member of the Southside Seaman Fantasy Baseball Club, so I know a lot about him. He'll strike out a lot of guys, but he also has some injury issues in his history. And then that they will go to the table and try to get Nola, Snell, Julio Urias. That's the direction it would go.
Yeah.
And that's not like they're just going to be the one team sitting across from their agents to try to get them. By the way, also another by the way, this is turning into QFTA on my podcast because I'm all over the map. But I, for whatever reason, I was working on Sound Story stuff yesterday, and I was just in my basement watching the Blue Jays and the Orioles. Jack Flaherty dealt yesterday. People might not want to hear that, But he was hitting 97 miles an hour, and he had the Blue Jays a great offense. Granted, Bo Bichette's on the IL, which is why Paul DeYoung's been playing shortstop. But he had him off balance, and I don't know how many swing and miss Ks I felt like I saw after he set him up with the fastball, and high-velocity fastball. So fun facts for no and tell. Jack Flaherty was dealing yesterday in Toronto for the Baltimore Orioles. Jackson, what are your thoughts on your question? I mean, you're wearing the cowboy hat. You're the one with the credibility. You're the bull.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a real metaphorical bull, especially in this sense. So what I'll say to my question in particular is that I've talked about self-inflicted pot commitments. And what I mean by that is like saying something, and so now you're kind of forced into doing it to make good on your word.
We will return to contention in 2024.
Exactly.
Completely unnecessary.
Right. Or we'll increase payroll next year, and then you go overspend for Wilson Contreras. Now,
that one, to me, I feel like you can kind of control.
Yeah, there's qualifiers.
You can't control returning to contention.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure the Mets and Padres thought they would be contenders.
Right. Right. But either way, you're still really like you have to make good on your word. And I say if you say less and do more, you're going to get a better return than saying a lot. And even fulfilling that is still not going to be as much.
Then the expectations are tempered.
Absolutely.
And so if you come through, then it's a big surprise. But this year, there is no surprise. You have to acquire at least 2 starting pitchers.
Right. And so you can't,
from outside the organization who are currently pitching in the major leagues. And there's a period at the end of that sentence, is there not?
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, it has to. I mean, you have to go do that. And so I feel like often that they've done this where it's like, oh, we have to now trap ourselves into a box and do something like that. And I don't see the need to that. And like you've talked about before and I've talked about before, like you're not running a political campaign here. You're running a baseball team. You're running a business. If people aren't happy with the way that you're conveying your message to the fans, then go out, sign somebody, do the best you can to put the best team on the field possible. And if you do that, people, I feel like, will be more receptive and more trustful. Because what we say about the Blues, they're aggressive. They go out, they make those moves. The Cardinals, much more reactive, late to the party. If you flip that narrative, it doesn't matter what you say or how you say it, just go out and do it.
And I think what I'll add to that is this. A critic may say, and by the way, I think fairly, that it took the Cardinals finishing in either last place or having this kind of a season to get them to finally do it. Mm-hmm. Now, I always argue this thing about the Cardinals don't spend. What I say is the Cardinals do spend, but they have spent really poorly over the last decade. Really poorly. And keep in mind, the Cardinals tried to keep Albert Pujols. It would have been a disaster. I think there's kind of a little false narrative as to what happened in Anaheim. I assure you, Artie Moreno didn't feel like he got ROI on that deal. There's not a doubt in my mind. But I feel like someone in St. Louis would say, oh, yeah, that would have been great. Where was he going to hit? How was he going to hit? He was going to be a DH. Wasn't a DH in the National League at that time. The Cardinals tried to pay to keep Jason Hayward. How would that have worked out from a return on investment standpoint? Poorly. You got lucky that he took less money to go to Chicago. And David Price, how would that have worked out? So you add that to whichever ones you want to point out to as disastrous over the last decade. And I would say they do spend. They've just spent poorly, which is kind of a big concern. But the narrative that can activate people, kind of the populist move, is to say DeWallet and then, say, yeah, he's just hoarding money. The guy's got billions of dollars. It doesn't matter if he makes another $50 million. I realize for everyone who is listening / hosting this show, minus Jackson, that another $50 million would change our lives. But it's not the way that works. And so I think it's more about legacy. And up until this year, the legacy has been this team is in it every single year. But now, because it's been a disaster, then they will finally act. Whereas the Blues didn't, quote, need to do it, but they would do it anyway. And so there is a belief from the Blues fans that they will be aggressive, not because they need to, but because they want to. And there is a difference. Jackson, let's break right here because I already see it's 10:18 and I feel like it's 10:08. But you know what they say? Time flies when you're hosting a show with a gentleman wearing a cowboy hat who has announced he is now a sex worker. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. Well, breaking news here on Balloon Party 101 ESPN, especially in the midst of this Angry Beaver Friday Six-Shooter. Jackson just posed the question to me as he peered up at the monitor above his now full head of hair.
Yeah, things are happening.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I can see that because you've taken the cowboy hat off.
I'm still wearing it, just kind of.
I just retweeted the GIF that D-Bear created of you doing the Friday Six-Shooter with your little cowboy hat on.
Yeah, I need to get like a real good one too. Like I might purchase a real cowboy hat.
Oh wow, look at you.
This one's
John
like
Dutton over there, huh?
Yeah, I think it's a good look.
Well, Susie Green liked it when Jeff Green wore a cowboy hat.
She sure did. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it was like a 10-gallon hat. That's a little too much.
That's too much for you? Boy, I'd love it if you came in here wearing that.
Yeah, it'd look really good.
Jackson sees that Stephen A. Smith is furious in a discussion right now on ESPN as to whether Joe Burrow will be the best quarterback in the AFC North this season. So we'll keep you updated on those topics. But you're going to add that question to the Six-Shooter now? I don't know if Angry Beaver's going to be happy with that or not. I mean, you have announced you're a bull for hire, so I think you have equity.
Yeah, I think people are forgetting about the dark horse that is Kenny Pickett.
That's what people are forgetting about.
He's got the small hands, but
right,
he could do it.
Kenny Pickett, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson.
Those are your four.
Okay. Yes, Joe Burrow will be the best quarterback in the AFC North.
Ooh, I'll take Lamar. Start screaming.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I looked over there. Stephen A. Smith was so angry. I think one of my children could light the house on fire, and I wouldn't be as upset as Stephen A. Smith was with Ryan Clark's opinion on the quarterback situation in the AFC North. And I think to myself, I guess that's what you do to make $12 million a year. I sit across from a guy with a cowboy hat announcing he's a sex worker, and I giggle. But I need to really rage about this AFC North quarterback situation.
I almost fell out of my chair. I just went, D-Fair was watching.
That would have been optimal for the YouTube.
The back of this chair, I don't know what happened with Matt Rocchio before the show on the opening drive, but the back of this chair, which yesterday was perfectly intact, has been dominated. I mean, dominated. This thing has seen better days.
Boy, it is very active in the YouTube chat, and I like to see that. Because I can still see your cowboy hat, even though you're wearing it.
I know,
around
it's
your
kind of like a little
back.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing going on.
All right, now what else do we have now that we've touched on the AFC North quarterbacking situation?
Yeah, and thank God we got to it because I only had 5. All right, looking at the 2023 season is boring and clearly just is kind of going through the motions. However, with all the uncertainty going on around the Cardinals, there's opportunity out there. Who do you think can improve their stock the most during this lame duck portion of the campaign? Who can improve their trade value? Who can prove themselves worthy to be on the 2024 roster and become a mainstay at that?
God, I don't know.
Because you got to do something in these last 2 months.
Hudson, I suppose, although that really doesn't excite me. I guess Alec Burleson, I suppose.
Yeah, if he can come be a power hitter, be a fourth outfielder for you.
I'd love it if Herrera could look like the second coming of Yadier Molina somehow.
Yeah.
I just really think one of the first steps the organization needs to take is to somehow unload the Wilson Contreras contract.
Yeah.
Just that's straight financial. It's nothing personal. I think people know that. I just think it's going to be an albatross. And if you have $100 million on the books already committed, and just shy of 20% of that is with a guy you signed to be catcher who can't be catcher except for a handful of games, you've got a problem. And so you need to reduce the expense there somehow. So anyway, Burleson, I think even if O'Neill went off, I don't think people would buy in.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
No doubt. Like,
who are you thinking? Am I missing somebody? I feel like I'm missing. So I haven't given you the answer you wanted.
So with 3 wide open pitching rotation spots next year, I'm not saying that like someone's going to go out and become an ace, but someone like Dak Hudson can prove themselves to be the 5th starter. Now all of it depends on what goes on in the offseason. But some pitching. Like, I think Matthew Liberatore is going to get a start until the end of the season. And I know some people, like, I completely understand why you would not be excited about Matthew Liberatore or the prospect of him being in the rotation next year. But he's still young, and he's a lefty, and lefties sometimes take a little bit more time to develop. His stuff is there. It's just he hasn't been able to put it together. I think there's opportunity for the pitching staff to possibly get a little bit some going and then give a little more confidence. Because if you have more confidence going in the offseason, you can spend
baby? Who? Sweet Prince?
I like Liberatore. I like
God,
Liberatore.
you don't mean this.
I do. I like
Is this
Liberatore.
what you do now? Now that you're a sex worker, you just come in here and say nonsense?
Has nothing. One has nothing to do with the other.
You can't possibly really believe that.
I think that
I actually am going to go Stephen A. Smith here. I can't. You don't really mean that.
I think
don't take Smith me. Not on this show. Not on this show.
I think he can become a middle of the rotation starter in the next 2 years. Yes. Okay. In the next 2 years, I think he can become a middle rotation starter. He's highly touted out of.
If that's the case, then I would tell you the Cardinals will become a bottom of the National League Central team.
Huh.
I just don't think it's there. I'm sorry.
I got faith in Liberatore over on this side of the dais.
We bet on something yesterday. I gave you 4-1 odds. You get to keep track of the book.
If Jordan Hicks comes back.
Oh, yeah. I feel like you can already handle that one. That ain't happening.
Well, when he's closing out games next year, he'll be whistling a different tune.
If Matthew Liberatore is in the rotation and Jordan Hicks is the closer of the Cardinals next year, I'll be like, boy, oh boy, we got to find something here. Something's amiss. There's just no way.
So when Matthew Liberatore's bus goes up in Cooperstown, we're going to play this audio.
My God, we've gone from being the third starter on a last place team to going to Cooperstown.
I just want everyone out there to know who was on which side of the aisle.
They don't have busts there.
Plaques?
Right.
That's
why it's going to be an even bigger story.
It's kind of like a bus.
Matthew Liberatore becomes the first one to get a bus.
No one has a bust in Cooperstown. I've been there. I should know these things.
I have too.
But it's kind of like a bust in the plaque, right?
Oh my God, what is going on? Boy, I'll tell you what. Guy becomes a sex worker within a half hour. Just comes loose with the facts.
You think Jack Flaherty, when he goes to Cooperstown, wear an Orioles hat or a Cardinals hat?
Wow. Where's Rockio? You're out next week, aren't you? No, 2 weeks, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out next week.
Right.
How's that going to play? Poorly.
Six-shooter, and that'll piss people off.
That's right. All right, Jackson, we have a third question. It's 10:29. I guess I should break.
Yeah, we can go to the third one in the next segment.
Oh, God, I just can't. I'm trying. Matthew Liberatore and Jordan Hicks, and then a bust in Cooperstown. That's what I got out of this from a guy wearing a cowboy hat who's announced he's a bull for hire.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's the Cliff Notes version of it.
Teddy Tucker's Treasure says in the YouTube chat, I should have a bust everywhere in St. Louis. Little lopsided bust. Little undersized lopsided bust.
Yeah, it should just be like there should be 8 wonders of the world, 8 wonders of Tim.
I agree with you, actually.
Like the most famous
Probably all in South City.
No, I'd say go all across like the most famous areas, and it's like take your picture with the Gateway Arch Tim, or like
that's not bad. Yeah.
Here's the Jewel Box Tim.
Yeah, love the Jewel Box.
Wedding season's coming up.
Is it?
I feel like fall is a big wedding time. Fall time is here.
Summertime was the wedding season. Am I wrong on this stuff?
Let me rephrase that.
I mean, you're the one who's going to start going to all these weddings. You're right.
doubt.
You're right in the sweet spot for the first marriage.
Faux show.
And then in the mid-30s, it's Naptown season, and everybody's got that alimony.
Outdoor weddings. Fall is the time for outdoor weddings. Outdoor weddings in the summer, you should be arrested.
Wow. God, take Smith.
Well, if you're going to have like an August 8th wedding and it's
you want people to go to jail for doing that.
111 degrees and you're getting married at 1 p.m.
Very temperate right now. Very temperate in St. Louis.
Yeah, for sure.
Your thoughts on the temperature and your thoughts on Jackson announcing he's a bull for hire and Matthew Liberatore going to Cooperstown. A lot of topics here. 314-399-9646 Air Comfort Service text line. You are listening to Balloon Party on 101 ESPN, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura and Alton Toyota.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals lose last night 5-3, the final score against Minnesota. They will take on the Colorado Rockies tonight, 7:15, first pitch. And the Phoenix Mercury take down the Atlanta Dream 91-71. Diana Taurasi, 42 points, makes history as the first 10,000-point scorer in WNBA history. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back. Second half of Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN. My name is Tim McKernan. That's Jackson wearing a cowboy hat. And you're really asking some wonderful questions here on the Angry Beaver Six-Shooter. This is, ladies and gentlemen, question number 3, if we're not counting the hot debate that went on during the who is the best quarterback in the AFC North segment.
We are counting that. Okay. This is question 4.
Oh, wow. Sounds like somebody's lighting the Six-Shooter. Hope Angry Beaver doesn't cancel.
Listen, if you find a bull on the ground, you can pick it up and use it. All right. Doing a deep dive perspective look at things and looking at the most successful teams of the 21st century, maybe we can find the secret sauce to the Cardinals' success. Safe to say their best teams, and feel free to disagree or insert one that you'd like, safe to say that their best teams have been 2004, 2006, 2009, 2011, and 2013.
Did you just throw 2009 in there to humor me because you know it's near and dear to my heart?
Well, if you had Waino and Carpenter both playing at the best of their ability, I feel like that's got to be in there.
That was a world championship caliber team.
Right.
I don't think most Cardinal fans would throw them in there because of the sweep by the Dodgers.
Fair
and they
enough.
also kind of fumble left around at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But yes, my reasoning being you had Pujols, Holiday, Ryan Ludwig was raking. Mark DeRosa, they traded for him, and he kind of got hurt, so he wasn't really as effective as they wanted. And but you had Wainwright and Carpenter, 1-2.
Right, the only
then
time.
It was a drop-off to Joel Pinheiro, all due respect.
Yeah, always all due respect.
Thank you. I mean, I include 1985, but I realize it's 13 years before Jackson's existence.
Yeah, and 21st century. For 4 of those, they had the greatest power hitter of the 21st century. So that's the obvious constant. Outside 2013, all of those had Albert. But outside the machine, what made those teams so good, and how did they differ from the 2021 through the possible 2024 version of the team that has been keeping their heads above water at best?
God, that's a really good question. You're talking about a deep dive question. Because the 2004 team, I feel like, was a hell of a lot different than the 2011 team.
Mm-hmm.
The 2004 team, you look at the lineup they trotted out there, and you just go, my God.
Yeah, every single batter down to 7 or 8.
The MV3 with Pujols, Roland, and Edmonds, but it's surrounded by, Larry Walker, Edgar Renteria, Reggie Sanders.
Yeah.
Tony Womack was the leadoff hitter. I'm going to leave people out inadvertently. And then by the time they got to the postseason, because Chris Carpenter had gotten hurt, if I'm not mistaken, I think Woody Williams started game 1 in Boston, and Matt Morris started game 2. And then it was Marquis and Suppan, or Suppan then Marquis. And you go, well, that isn't really a World Series National League pennant-winning rotation, but keep in mind, Carpenter got hurt. Whereas 2013, Michael Wacha was really the guy in the postseason, but he wasn't really around for much of the regular season, and Adam Wainwright was the one who outdueled, I think it was Cole in Game 5 for the Pirates, if I'm not mistaken. I think he pitched games 2 and 5 for the Pirates, and Wainwright pitched a complete game. So you had in between there Chris Carpenter doing his work, and so I think it's too sports talk radio cliche to go, they had a number 1 starter, because really 2004, I don't really feel like they had. They did with Carpenter, but they didn't have him in October. They just had a ridiculous lineup. So I don't have one piece that I go, well, there is the reason. What about you?
Well, yeah, I just feel like the biggest constant is the ace, having that ace, having that.
They didn't have it in 2004.
Sure, they didn't have it in 04, but they had it in 06. They had it in.
But 04 is the team that I think most Cardinal fans who are at least 25 years old are going to say was the best team they've seen.
Yeah.
In the 21st century, without question. And many may say it's the best team they've ever seen. Now, some people say, well, then they didn't win the World Series, so I can't count them.
Sure.
know?
Also, in four of
And
those.
like 85, for example, obviously a totally different base. I say obviously, I know you weren't around for it, but
No,
you know, you
I
had
know.
Jack Clark hitting home runs and everybody else was just stealing bases. But they had John Tudor, who was ridiculous once he came over, and then they had this bullpen by committee, which Whitey Herzog used ingeniously. So, you know, that was defense and that was stealing bases. So it's a different thing. I don't know. I would say ace. But the 04 team, maybe that's why the 04 team, even with that great lineup, didn't win it all, is because when it was all said and done, you had to start two guys who, you know, in Boston, who weren't really worthy of being in the top two at that point in their careers, and they're starting games 1 and 2. I mean, Woody Williams started game 1 of the World Series.
Right.
I mean, but at the same time, in 06, Anthony Reyes started game 1 of the World Series, and Jeff Weaver started 2.
They got pitchers who got hot towards the end of the season. Suppan and Weaver were, I don't think they played better in their career than that month of baseball in 06. So, you know, that's timing is a big part of it. But also, I mentioned 4 of those teams had Albert Pujols. 4 of those teams also had Tony La Russa at the helm when he was kind of in his prime, and there was a constant there. You know, since 2013, there have now been 3 different managers. From 2004 to 2011, there was just 1. So I feel like that's part of it, too. And a Hall of Fame manager at that. Same pitching coaches for the most part, same hitting coaches for the most part. That sense of,
I don't know. I'm just arriving at the conclusion that it takes more than one piece. That's it.
Yeah.
I've never really examined this question, but now that I'm thinking through it, you know, the 04 team had this absurd lineup, but it couldn't get it done. And I know the game in Boston in Game 1 was a super high-scoring game, and they were just never really in Game 2, if memory serves. I think that was Schilling against Morris. And then Jeff Suppan got caught off third base in Game 3 at home, and you know it was just you showed up to Game 4 of the World Series going, well, the Red Sox are going to win the World Series tonight unless the curse just continues to rear its ugly head, and the Cardinals now rattle off 4 straight against Boston. Can you imagine if that would have happened after they rattled off 4 against the Yankees?
oh.
How that would have been doing Boston Sports Talk Radio.
Real quick on the 2013 LDS.
Yes.
Waino Game 5 outdueled Garrett Cole.
Yes.
Waino outdueled him and A.J. Burnett to go 2-0 in the
he
LDS.
faced Burnett first time through?
For Game 1, it was Burnett. Game 5.
Yeah, Cole started Game 2, and the Pirates won that, and they won Game 3, and I think they were in the lead in Game 4, and the Cardinals came back.
2-1 game. Michael Wacha outdueling Charlie Morton.
Wow. Boy, that Pirates team had some talent.
It's really good pitching.
Yeah.
That's some really good pitching. Late career A.J. Burnett and rookie or second year Garrett Cole. And then they traded them all for Chris Archer.
The Chris Archer deal. They've had 2 of the strangest damn trades with pitchers. One we've already mentioned in this segment, Matt Morris.
Yeah.
And the Chris Archer thing. I remember talking on the phone with John Mozeliak. It was just off air. It was like 10 at night too, the night of that trade deadline when they acquired Archer. And I was, you know, I wasn't like giving him like a mic drop take. I was trying to understand the thought process.
Right.
And he goes, well, I mean, if you look at the cost of what, you know, say what the, you know, I can't get into specifics probably, but the point being, you know, you saw the cost of what people were paying. And the Pirates with Chris Archer, what in the world were they doing? And then Matt Morris. I mean, listen, I love Matt Morris. He's an amusing guy, loves playing FIFA. And
So do I.
there you go. And I'm sure he was confused. He's pitching in San Francisco, perfect for him. And he's at the end of his career. And then the Pirates just go, yeah, we'll take that on. Go, what the hell are you doing? I mean, you were in last place, and now you're just going to take him. And then, like, Morris pitched once and goes, okay, that'll wrap her up. I think I'll head to Montana and play FIFA. I don't know what they're doing. Makes me have gratitude for what we've had, for the most part, with ownership and management in St. Louis with the baseball and hockey teams. All right, Jackson, we'll wrap it up with the final segment. Coming up, then BK and Ferrario at the top of the hour. This is Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, and Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN. Yeah. Jax, what are you doing this week? And I'm curious what a 25-year-old bachelor with ladies who love your style, what you're looking to do. What's going to go on with you?
Teeing it up this afternoon.
Oh, really? Where are you playing?
Stonewall.
You playing bogey? Oh.
Stonewall. No. Public, I know. But still going out there. Going to go low.
So you said public, and then you said I'm still going out there. Kind of like you wouldn't go out there normally.
That's not
Or
true.
there's some member guests going on at your places?
No, Nicholas Design. There's no need to scoff.
I didn't. You're the one who said public.
Well, I'm just, it is a public course. I didn't say a lie.
Yeah, but then you said I'm still going out there.
Right. Well, I was talking about the weather.
I see.
Right.
I certainly didn't take it that way.
No.
And I'm very confident that I took it the right way.
You can take it however you want it there, Tim. So I'll do that. Going to have some drinks with some friends who are coming back in town this weekend.
Who's coming to town? Sweet Kai, Private Citizen Pete, Oatmeal, Herb.
Private Citizen Pete and Herb live here. Oatmeal won't be back in town now. Friends from high school. It'll be great to see them. So I'll have some beverages. Then I got to run some errands on Saturday. I'll probably...
big day.
Yeah, then I'll probably go to a couple bars in Dogtown on Saturday night.
Wow.
It'll just be a good time.
Lady
Hang
friends?
out. No. Somewhere out of town.
There's a
how it goes.
lower lip tremble I'm going to call. Just so people know. That was my reading. If you're watching on YouTube, you can play it back and see if you picked up the lower lip tremble. When you're in a hand, you have to use everything you can as information. So do what you want.
Maybe
so
I'm throwing
just
you
gonna-
off the scent.
I'm going to be hanging out at these bars to try to spot you. That's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, hell freeze over this weekend.
I'm holding a form to go to the Muni.
Yeah, all right. So
you
you
were
will.
talking
You
about hell
actually
freezing over.
Yeah, for real.
My wife goes, "You want to see Rent tomorrow night, 8:15?" And I'm thinking to myself, God, this has got to be some kind of mind game. And I go, yeah, I will.
It's just
All right, I'll 3-bet.
right. You're gonna call.
Yeah, I'll 3-bet. And she goes, wow, really? And I go, yeah, I'll see if I can get tickets. So
Right. Really, you were trying to run
I
the
still don't
fool's
know
errand.
what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I still am not sure. I'm certain she doesn't know what's going on either. Been together 15 years, and we're both trying to figure each other out with this whole Muni thing.
You're
this
going to
weekend.
the theater, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a summer tradition here in St. Louis.
Boy, is it ever.
Yeah. Get some
Wonderful.
Ted Drews afterwards.
Oh, the City Red.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time.
Oh, that City Red.
I love the
bee's
theater.
knees. Do you really?
Yeah, my mom would take me to the Fox all the time. as a
Okay,
kid.
I'm going to fold. I thought I got picked up already.
I love the Fox. I haven't done much muning. Ooh, that's a tough verb.
Munying.
Muning.
Ooh, you're having trouble with that, I noticed.
Well, that Y sound. You know,
Yeah, you say muni and then you say an ing, and then off we go.
muning, but it just doesn't fall off the tongue. But the Fox, the grand nature of the Fox, really, as a kid, captured me.
Oh, okay. Well, there it is. Jackson's a theater guy. But
Yeah,
this weekend
surprise.
he's going to be running errands. All right, anything else with this Angry Beaver Lil Piddles Six-Shooter? A perfect way to send everyone into the weekend.
Yeah, I kind of want to do some over-unders.
Oh, all right. I
I
enjoy
like
that.
season totals.
Oh, you got such a freebie when I said 4.5 Cardinals traded on trade deadline day.
Yeah,
God, you shipped it.
That was all day.
God.
It was all day.
I just thought they were going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
What do I know?
And we should both state on the
should
outset
know.
here is that we're both on the over of 6.5 for the Missouri Tigers.
Yeah, fight Tiger.
Yeah. Okay. So saying that, we're going to go to the NFL. Denver Broncos. Over under 8.5 wins.
Okay, they play 17.
Yes, that's the sound I wanted right there.
Like that?
Gerbil.
Well, that is a little gerbil scratching out. I'll go under.
I'm also going to go under. I have no faith in Russell Wilson. Now, a team that is favored to win the NFC North, talked about before, the Detroit Lions.
I do like the Lions, so this is going to be tough for me to go under, but I don't know what their number is. Is it 9.5?
It's 9.5.
Is it?
I'm going under all day. And I real quick while you ponder it, people have asked before why I say Detroit. It's a nod to Forrest Gump. He goes, oh, there was Cleveland. He was from Detroit, and I really like that.
Wow.
It's like one of the few parts I like about that movie.
So wonderful. What a wonderful explanation. So
Thank
much
you.
value on that. God, I mean, they get the Bears twice, they get the Packers twice, they get the Vikings twice. See, the thing is, I don't have the schedules up in front of me. And you can act like you know what teams are going to be.
Well, they do it. I pointed
I know they
behind
do
me.
it, yeah. God, I agree with you. It's such a game theory play to go where everybody's going to be over.
Yeah.
And then to go under. I'll go under.
The under is plus money, by the way.
Yeah, I'll go under.
It's plus 100, but let's. All right. Jonathan Taylor, is his back hurt? Who knows? The Colts over under is 6.5. I don't know if the Colts move the needle for you that much this year.
The AFC South in general has been just something that it's probably like how people view the American League Central. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, it's there. Who are these people?
Right. They don't Lesser really Chicago team. Yeah.
Do any of them ever really do anything?
They've had
the Titans upset the Chiefs one year.
Yeah. They've had good teams.
Had back in Manning Colts era. The Jaguars rolled deep.
It's funny because they've had two of the most dominant players.
Like Bortles and Foxborough. Who would have thought? Like
with Derrick Henry and J.J. Watt, like two absolute monster alpha players.
Both sides of the ball.
Yeah, but it's just...
I think it speaks to the importance of quarterback play to identify greatness with a team. And you look at the quarterbacks over the last decade in Jacksonville, pre-Lawrence, Blake Bortles, and I guess Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah. Byron Leftwich.
Boy, I mean, after the Watson situation, the Texans have had just like...
Oh, yeah, it's been rough.
So the question is over a 6.5.
I'll take the over.
I'll go under again. I'm on 3 unders.
Anthony Richardson. This one is very interesting to me. Miami Dolphins. Over under 9.5.
Over.
Wow, you're on board.
Yeah.
You're on board in South Beach.
Yeah, over. That one. I thought you might be going like 11.5, and I was going to have to be. This is like you with the number of Cardinal trades. That one to me, I ship.
Yep.
I buy in there.
I will also go over. I believe in Tua.
Okay.
Now this one is.
He's got to be healthy. This
one is. They got a new quarterback. This is the IT team. Is the Hard Knocks team. New York Jets. You want to take a guess on their number?
Okay, it's inflated by Hard Knocks and Aaron Rodgers. I'll say it's 8.5.
It's 9.5.
God, that seems like that's a sucker pin to fire at. Let's just go middle of the green and 2-putt and move on. There's a birdie opportunity later.
Yeah, you're going under.
I'm going under.
I'm going to take the over. They were almost there last year with
Denzel Mims
and Mike White. Like, give me a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I think they can really progress.
39-year-old Hall of Fame quarterback.
Sure, but Garrett Wilson in his second year, a lot of young players around him could really shine.
I'm on a lot of unders. I'm on 1 over, and that's on the Fighting Finns.
Philadelphia Eagles, the over-under for them is 11.5. Defending NFC champions have really done nothing but continue to retool. Haven't really lost much. Jalen Hurts looking to progress again. A.J. Brown, superstar.
I'm going to go under.
I'm going to take the over. I'm all in on the Eagles.
Wow.
All in on the Eagles.
We got some potential wagers here.
I'll do one last one. I will go with the San Francisco 49ers, the over, and the over is minus 145, I might add. 10.5.
Yeah, I figured that might be the number if the over was minus 145. I will go over.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess Brock Purdy is going to be their quarterback because
I got some depth there. Whereas if the Eagles run into a quarterback problem, sayonara.
Is it still Gardner Minshew?
I don't know. He's got a wonderful mustache, though, doesn't he?
He does. But yeah, Trey Lance has not shown much in camp from what I've read.
He's picked to be second in the NFC West.
Oh, boy. I would have to say Arizona's over-under win total is at 4.5, so I doubt it's them. I guess it would be Seattle.
What's their over-under win total?
Seattle's, you ask? You mean Seattle?
That was a delay tactic for those of you who can pick that up. And if you can't pick that up, you shouldn't be at the table.
9.5. So yeah, they'd be second.
Yeah, that's part of my reasoning. Right. You get 6 against
6. Yeah, you 2 against Arizona, 2 against Seattle, 2 against LA. Yeah. And that tough building that Stan Kroenke owns.
That's right. BK and Ferrari are up next. The Angry Beaver, Lil Piddles Six-Shooters in the book. A gif of Lil Piddles in his cowboy hat is up on my Twitter feed, so that's huge. And the TMA fan page. Time for us to shut it down. BK and Ferrari up next for Action Jackson. I am Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Mungan St. Louis Acura and Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN.